Good morning, everyone joining. It's good to see everyone connecting. Let's wait a minute till everyone joins in. Okay. As we are kind of short on time today, I guess we can start the intros, and then the ones who are kind of still coming into the webinar can join us along the way. So once again, good morning, everyone. It's really nice to see everyone joining in from even different time zones today. I'm sure that this early morning for those of you is going to be worth it. This session is going to be definitely practical and insightful. So let's do this. To start with, my name is Greta, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Katalista Ventures. We are a triple top-line startup accelerator and fund working with early-stage sustainable startups. And at the same time, we're also working with matching corporates, big organizations, and startups in working together and kind of leveraging their strengths together. So it's only fitting that today we have this webinar with Oracle and startups who actually worked with Oracle and can share their experience today. So we will have 3 parts to this webinar. So the first one is going to be Lars, Vestergaard, and Deyn sharing their opportunities with Oracle with startups. Secondly, we'll have 2 case studies from real-life startups who have walked through this whole process with Oracle from NOIA Network and Modularbank. And then finally, we'll have a panel discussion where everyone from our speakers will join in and talk about the interesting things that you can witness during this program and the strengths and benefits that you can reach together. On a technical note, if all attendees are kind of attentive, you're seeing that we've muted you and your videos off. And this is on purpose, but please don't hesitate and ask all the questions that are interesting to you in the Q&A section and at the bottom of the screen. So I guess this is all for the short intro. We are now going to move forward with our first session with Lars and Rick. So Lars leads Market Connect for Oracle for Startups. And Lars is the one kind of connecting startups with Oracle's technology and networks. And he's also the one who's going to be organizing your meetings with Oracle's clients. So definitely use this opportunity to connect with him. And we also have Rick, who is Senior Director Banking in the Global Industry Solutions Group at Oracle. And Rick has an experience of 15 years working with different global financial institutions, and he helps financial organizations deploy innovative payments projects faster and with less risk. So Lars and Rick, welcome. The floor is yours. We're very happy to have you here, and take it away.
Thank you very much for those kind words, Greta. So I'm Danish. I'm based in Copenhagen. I am in an EMEA context, one of the employees working in this great, passionate startup team. And I really mean that we are indeed passionate about startups. So it's great to have a chance through Katalista Ventures to introduce ourselves and showcase some of the awesome things we do with startups today. So I will begin and introduce the program to you. And then Rick, my colleague, who is a distinct fintech person, will take over later on. So when it comes to what it is we do, we call it a virtuous cycle of innovation. But first of all, a lot of you may not have heard of us before, because this whole oracle.com/startup, that literally only went live in July last year. So we're a bit later than a lot of the other players that go and provide free cloud to startups. Like you can see here now, we are coming in at a 70% discount for 2 years, in addition to all the free cloud we are giving you. So we really think that it's a great offer. Of course, if we think that free cloud is what we are giving you, all of that, we can almost just call that hygiene, because there's so much more to our program than just giving free cloud. And that's what I'll introduce to you here shortly. And really, if we think about why we are doing this, of course, Oracle wants to work with startups. We want to be in innovation discussions, in co-creation discussions, whether they are makeathons, ideathons, or hackathons out there with customers. But the end game, the end goal for us, whether I call it to make you rich, but it's really to introduce you to the customers. About having vetted for startups that we introduce to our customers for joint discussions, and whether we build jointly minimal viable products or prototypes or whatever it is. And I should say that there's a big team behind this. My personal role is Market Connect, and that's the next slide that I'm going to show you. But just to let you know that there's a great team. So for example, the first person you typically will meet in our team is Max Dunhill. He will sit there once you click that button on oracle.com/startup and says, give me free cloud. Then it's going to be Max who's going to be the main person for you. We have operational people that help migrate test workloads, whether from Amazon or Google or Microsoft or someone else, just to try our cloud. But this is me. So the Market Connect program that I run in EMEA is really about being able to vet for you. So that word is super important, because if I go to my colleagues and my customers and say, I would really like to introduce you to this great startup, for me to be able to say that, I need to be able to vet for you. And that's why we have come up with these 7-step qualifications. And to be honest with you, it's not to punish you. It's really to help you, help us help you. Because if you give us your startup profile, we can make promotional material. If you upload those vector logos, we can make beautiful material. The fact that, of course, we say you should use our clouds, it's not just a matter of you signing up and then great, so where are the customers? We need to ensure that when we put our head on the block and say to a large corporate, and I really mean large, we aim at taking you to the 100 biggest customers of Oracle in EMEA. It's that level, we call them key accounts. It's that level of customers we strive to introduce you to. And a lot of those, a third of those, are actually financial services entities. So for us to go and vet for you, of course, you need to show that you're serious, that you have used some of that free cloud. So it's the free cloud that you consume, then you qualify on that particular cloud usage. And you have an elegant user interface where you can upload these details, and you can see they actually go a pretty green once you've qualified for them. So the case study and the reference architecture and integration strategy, that is when I appeal to our architects. When we appeal to the architects, etc., out at the customer side, then it's much, much easier for them to see, is it on-prem, is it a cloud, is it behind the firewall, what's in front, all of those things. By the way, the 2-minute elevator pitch so far is always the one that gets filled in last, but of course we know that it is challenging a few of you to stand up in front of a camera and then give your story to the value you bring, but oh well. We can certainly help, and there are guides to all of the things that we do. But really then the benefits is the customer engagement. I take you to customers. We include you in big events. Rick and I just 2 weeks ago had a Meet the Fintechs event where 3 startups each had 15 minutes, and they were exposed to the entire world of Oracle, who sell banking, financial services solutions into large banks. So bring these startups with you. We introduce you to product management we have 1,600 open APIs into Oracle Financial Services. We don't expect you to maneuver around in a big jungle like a big corporate like Oracle, so we help that introduction along the way. We've had a lot of blog and media activity now that's associated with COVID-19. So we introduce you to journalists and press and analysts, for example, at Open World in London just in February. We had pitching competitions with those that came with us. And then finally, we have some further VC engagement activities for those of you that are in need of having more introductions into that. So now I'll hand over to my colleague, Rick. I'm the generalist. So one day I cover fintechs, one day I cover insurtech, the next day I cover anything relating to retail or any other vertical. But with Rick, we have a very distinct fintech specialist. Over to you, Rick.
Thanks a lot, Lars. So yeah, when Oracle decided to start up a fintech ecosystem, we very distinctly wanted this to lead to business results for the startups that we work with, as well as for Oracle. We did not want this to be a marketing exercise, and I believe that is, you know, the sweet spot for Oracle, especially because every top bank in the world uses Oracle, right? They use our database, they use our cloud, they use our applications, they use our on-prem technologies, which means that Oracle is a certified vendor and a trusted vendor in each bank, and that has a great value for our B2B partners. This also means that we have contacts in those banks from the chief architect up to the C level. So how do we achieve that? Well, I think that the first thing to realize is that we know how it is to work with a top bank. We know how to sell to them. We know how to work with them, and we're very much taking that into our fintech ecosystem. So while we start working with startups, we test, we guide startups on, you know, how it is to present, and we especially work with the startups who start to excel in adopting some of those selling techniques to tier ones. And in the end, the fintech startups that we select for the ecosystems are those that are able to very well describe use cases where the fintech startup, in collaboration with Oracle, can really change the life of our customers, and that's really been a driving force behind the fintech ecosystem. So it's not only about what is your value, which is absolutely great. It's not only about what is Oracle's value in that collaboration, but how do we make each other stronger? So the way that we do that is that we invest a lot in creating relevance for the fintechs that we work with our sales teams, with our architects who talk to our customers every day. And I do hope that from some of the fintechs today on the call, you will hear this. Once you become part of the Oracle engine, there's no stopping. You know, people start calling you to go and introduce you. People want to go and put you next to Oracle in events, for example, and that's really where you want to get to. Part of that, of course, is also how you get the benefit from Oracle technologies and specifically Oracle cloud technologies in terms of compliance, in terms of data residency, which is something that we're quite strong at. Last message, the way that we have set up the fintech ecosystem in collaboration with the startup team is that as you bring more to the table, as you start testing OCI, as you hit certain levels of testing, we will start to invest more in you as well. The moment that you become an adopted fintech, define those use cases, you will get the attention of a Lars who will go and introduce you to the tier 1 banks. Once you get close to an opportunity with us, we will be able to help you with commercial models and so on. So your investment and our commitment will go hand in hand, and that's what we want to achieve in this fintech ecosystem. Back over to you, Greta.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Lars. It was very useful to hear more about how Oracle can support the startups. It was also very fitting to see Rivo's quote in the last slide, and we do have Rivo here today with us. So Rivo is a co-founder, member of the board, and chief business officer at Modularbank. And he's been the driving force behind the startups like Icefire and Modularbank. Rivo has also been architecting, leading, and advising many award-winning business cases in the banking and financial services industry. So we're very excited to have you here today, and please take it away and share your insights into the Oracle for Startups program and how it got you to where you are today.
Thanks, Greta. So I will start also my screen share, just a sec. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Rivo and I'm one of the co-founders of Modularbank. And Modularbank, if you ask what it is, then this is the most modern API-first cloud-based digital core banking suite meant for different retail and business banking capabilities. And this is something that fits like very well with Oracle's perspective and positioning on the market, where Oracle is present like in basically in every single major financial services account. And that was one of the key drivers also for us when starting to engage with Oracle about a year ago. And when we also looked at, let's say, current challenges in the BFSI industry, there are like 3 elements that the banks need to tackle all at once. As at first, they need to provide an immediate positive impact. There is no time to wait for, let's say, next 5 or 10 year transformation project. At the same time, you need to support also short-term goals. You need to simplify your product setup and product definitions, but at the same time, you need to be able to run your bank in real time, offer very individualized level of contracts and terms and conditions to your customers. And at the same time, you need to future-proof your banking and financial services operations, which means that you need to consider your future core banking platforms as the kind of factories, so that you need to be able to make it, break it, and start all over again, and be relevant for your customers in the future. So these are like the 3 main challenges in the BFSI industry all at once. And with the combination of Modularbank and Oracle, I think we have tackled that. So that instead of trying to run the legacy stuff in the cloud, we are born in the cloud. We are so modular that it is possible to pick and choose the relevant capabilities that you need to establish your bank or modernize any of the banking operations. All the capabilities are published via APIs, means that you can like reach the scale also via the ecosystems and partners, and everything runs in real life. So that is the future of financial services. And when you also ask that, what is it that Modularbank and Oracle do together? So that is all about helping established BFSI entities to become as nimble or even more nimble as the digital newcomers and build the next generation banking experience. this is all the tremendous wealth of experience that we bring together to the table. That's a huge set of assets. And when you ask that what have we built is that we have unbundled the whole bank, and at the same time we enable assembling the bank like a Lego. You choose the kind of capabilities that you need, and off you go. And such kind of relationship like between Modularbank and Oracle, this is not just about deploying Modularbank software like at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or so forth. No, this is so much about the bigger vision and building up the ecosystem. It's a gradual and continuous process, and which establishes the win-win-win scenario. It's good for Oracle, it's good for us, and it's good for the customers. Everyone has something to win from this. And also like that helps you as the fintechs also to build up a continuous stream of revenues and extensions and business building capabilities. And if you also ask that, what are the kind of reference points on the market? So that is about being able to cater the needs of like some of the world's largest banks, tier 1 grade, or becoming the future banking technology asset for some of the largest banking groups in the Nordics, or modernizing all the core banking operations for the global lender and banking group. So, and this is all that has happened within basically 1.5 years. And I think that this footprint is great. And if you ask how, then this is really about combining the capabilities of the Modularbank and making it all available running at OCI, and taking the leverage of Oracle Enterprise capabilities. And it's impossible to underestimate the importance of the scalability, security aspects, because they make the banking architecture complete. And when you also ask that why Oracle, and why should like one fintech or a fintech scale up choose Oracle, then I would like to highlight very much the element of currency of trust. And this is so much more than just, let's say, OCI being, let's say, price competitive. It is about let's say, overall package. Like if you look at the functional industry applications that Oracle has, or any of the specific like CX suites or so on, you can get so much more mature stuff out there. And at the same time, when working together with the team from Oracle, you have a completely new level of opportunities established suddenly, meaning that you have the access to the Oracle open world, you can speak with the key account directors who are present in the tier 1 banking groups and so forth. Just make sure that you have some tangible assets also to bring on board, because such kind of a relationship, it's a two-way street. But together it's possible to come up with a certain functional credentials, be also tier 1 banking grade ready in terms of technical readiness, and just go out there and hunt for the market, because the momentum is there, and there are like so many underserved segments. So, and please like really take the advantage of Oracle being the trusted partner like among the tier 1 banking groups. And at the end of the day, it's a business model that will generate cash for you, make guys at Oracle happy, and also make customers to subscribe to your platforms and services. Thank you.
Thank you, Rivo. You were very much on time. We appreciate that always. We even have some time for questions. So I guess what was evident in your presentation, that relationship with Oracle was definitely very useful for Modularbank, and it was definitely very fruitful. So how would you say, how long does it take for those fruits to be picked from the start of the relationship? When do you notice the benefits after the start?
I think it, let's say, still takes some time, because let's say that it's impossible to underestimate the complexity of, let's say, the B2B business landscape. So that you like, nevertheless, you need to like expand your network inside of the Oracle. You need to like commit your time and your presence as well, so that make sure that you're available and so on. So I would say that maybe it took like 4 or 6 months, like from the like initial start, or let's say initial contact points. But after that, I mean, let's say, the number of requests, contacts, I mean, everything has increased.
Great. Thanks, Rivo. Thanks for the good presentation and very inspiring other startups to join in and to explore this opportunity as well. We will have the third speaker today now, who is Jonas from NOIA Network. And Jonas is a co-founder and CDO leading the technology and innovation direction at NOIA. And he's been working a lot with internet technologies and blockchain, which I'm sure he's going to tell you more about in a second. So it's great to have a Lithuanian startup here. Jonas, welcome on the virtual stage, and please share what you have with us today.
Sure. Thanks, Greta. Great for being here. Let me share my screen as well, and let's kick it off. Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Jonas, co-founder and CTO of NOIA Network. And what we say we created over the last couple of years is the internet for the modern growing enterprise, which gives you speed, privacy, and security in minutes. So I'll try to explain what we do and who we are, and then what's our story with fintech and especially with Oracle. So during the process of creating this technology, we also tried to identify what the product should we bring to the market. And we identified key trends in the upcoming 5 years. And the first trend is that tens of billions of the new devices will be connected to the internet. And most of them will be Linux-based devices. The second trend is that new cloud architectures emerged and started with multi-cloud and edge computing market will grow tenfold, especially fueled by 5G. And finally, there's a clear trend of hyper automation because 70% or more enterprises using Kubernetes, containerization, or some sort of workload automation. So as everything before started in the cloud in just several data centers, it moved way over to the edge, and companies are investing millions into connectivity with their edge and going into the true edge, which is cameras, devices and IoT devices, your phones, etc. So, but what is the problem? And the problem is that technology is lagging behind this ambition. So starting with security, IPsec and certificate-based systems at scale are incredibly difficult to set up and manage and automate. And there's a good example. Just a couple of days ago, one of the root certificate providers' certificates expired, and it's still causing havoc all across the internet, even today. Second problem is that connectivity and performance in terms of a network is not suited for multi-cloud and edge environments and IoT, because when it started with just several data centers, it's mainly SD-WAN and different SDN solutions, which are aimed at connecting data centers and bigger entities and branches with huge network links, as opposed to being suitable for automated containerized deployments. And finally, the visibility and analytics becomes a necessity when you're managing thousands of devices as opposed to a couple data centers. So our solution is an ultra-scalable network setup, security, and performance platform, which will be available for every developer as a self-service, network as a service solution. So let me just briefly explain why it will be so beneficial. So first, it's easily pluggable to thousands of servers and devices. All system architects or developers will need to do is to deploy a NOIA agent or a container into all of their infrastructure, thousands of servers, using most popular automated integration tools like Kubernetes, Portainer, Ansible, and so on. And then you're ready to go. Second, it will be super easy to set up those connections. It will be a three-step process where you just give your network a name, select your devices from the ones you just deployed, and you create a network. And finally, you obtain full network view and analytics like never did before. So you'll be able to see all your network in a dashboard, get performance analytics for every connection, and inspect and micromanage every connection. But the true beauty comes with our SDN technology we've been working for the most of the time. So if you have any two servers or devices or containers connected together, we constantly measure connectivity between these devices and any alternative paths. And we always use lowest latency, best performance path, and a smart routing through all major tier 1 ISP networks. So we don't have a network. We say we don't have a network, but we use our technology allows you to use all major cloud and tier 1 networks between your endpoints. So we have many nodes around the globe. And if there's a possibility to force traffic through one of these nodes using state-of-the-art network technologies like segment routing and IPv6, we would do so and improve its connectivity. So even if you are just on a single network or using one cloud provider, you're able to leverage all of these networks at once to improve your connection. And that happens dynamically between every container, which can live for 10 minutes or whatever amount of time dynamically. So how does this all relate to fintech? I personally worked in the financial industry in investment banks in application development, and we faced those problems firsthand. So one of the challenges is mounting system complexity when you need to scale, because it's, you know, the applications, some of the compute applications in finance industry needs thousands of servers of computation to be deployed and used. And it starts to be incredibly difficult to manage network and security between those systems, especially in automated deployments. Imagine you need to deploy 100,000 servers and then set up different network setups and security between all of these instances. And sometimes it's just containers and virtual instances, which makes things sometimes even harder. The second problem is application-related cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So fintechs are way more agile now these days, and we need to stay secure and also work very well. So our system provides a much easier way to ensure security and reduce this landscape for security vulnerabilities. Then there's an extensive cloud migration and multi-cloud infrastructures. So currently, pretty much every financial institution is using multi-cloud plus on-premise infrastructure. And it's very hard to migrate and use it just as a computation layer and not care about these deployments individually. So our solution, you know, helps you to do that. And it's also, there's a large increasing need to be agile, quick, and flexible to empower the business. So there's no need for huge capital investment into human resources and software development if you use tools and platforms like ours. So as I mentioned, what we provide is reduce the complexity, provide greater application reliability, allow flexible horizontal scalability across multi-cloud and on-premise infrastructures, and reduce security vulnerability landscape. And our story with Oracle, right? So NOIA and Oracle for Startups started and developed into something awesome very quickly. So the main thing we want to thank them for is exceptional interest and responsiveness. As Lars mentioned, there's other players in the market giving free credits of cloud, etc. And we have participated in those programs, but never have we received so much interest and responsiveness in such cooperation with having calls almost every other day. So that's been really unusual, working with a larger enterprise like Oracle, and we're grateful for that. It's also real enterprise go-to-market opportunities. So just like sometimes this exercise is being treated just a marketing endeavor, with Oracle, we really see go-to-market opportunities, and we went through account mapping exercises to identify most relevant contacts for us as a company to be future potential customers. And then it's also the internal product and technical support. So what we've been given a lot is contacts within Oracle and outside Oracle, not only as potential customers, but to get feedback and early day feedback to our product, both inside and outside Oracle, to help us shape the product to make it suitable for those first enterprise clients. And finally, of course, it's getting the word out. Because as a startup, you want to be known, you want everyone to see your technology and give feedback to you. So it's been great to have PR and marketing opportunities like you see just on the right, where we've received so much interaction with us and so much attention once we started working with Oracle, because everyone's interested in how startup can grow together with larger enterprises. And then there's NOIA and Oracle Cloud. So because we are very heavy infrastructure based startup, you know, it's a deep technology. Oracle has been sponsoring us virtual machines and bare metal instances in nearly currently 12 regions, which you can see here. And these are, some of them are incredibly important regions for startup like ours. So we have a bare metal super powerful instances in Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Brazil, Japan, where some of these locations none of the other providers can provide, so we can leverage Oracle's network to bring this benefit to our customers. Then there's also Oracle Marketplace, which is very easy to onboard and integrate. So we want to have NOIA, you know, within a couple clicks, available for existing Oracle clients. So once we're on an Oracle Marketplace, it's another go-to-market opportunity where it's super easy for someone to start using NOIA when they're already using Oracle services. And finally, it's super easy to start using Oracle Cloud for new customers, because I talked a lot about multi-cloud environments, and our solution helps us to use multi-cloud environments and shift workloads from other providers to try Oracle and use Oracle. We can bring new customers to Oracle, then we onboard new customers ourselves and make this a win-win market opportunity. So with that, I think I'm out of my time, and thank you for listening, and hopefully you'll have some questions.
Thank you so much, Jonas. It was a great review of your journey with Oracle. I think we've heard that it was not only about the expansion of your business opportunities, but also the technological coverage of your business opportunities. So it would be really interesting to understand. You said you went through the program very quickly and you started engaging with Oracle very quickly. So how fast was it actually to start this relationship, and how easy was it?
So for us, it was incredibly fast. So just after the first introduction, which was made, and we had a call with Lars and his team, and really we had the second call within 4 days, and then we were having calls almost every other day. So we went from zero to having really good relationships within 2 weeks. And even then, you know, we made mistakes as well. Oracle was very receptive because, you know, we wanted to continue to work together and bring great business results. So, you know, for us, it really was a very quick process to get engaged, and we feel like we've been working together for years now.
Great. Could you then leverage a little bit? Could you tell us a little bit more about leveraging that relationship, you know, between the big organization and a startup? It is not a secret that it sometimes is difficult. How was it in this case?
Yeah, I think, again, it was super easy because Oracle has been exceptional compared to anything else we dealt with bigger enterprises in terms of responsiveness. So any questions we had regarding, you know, marketing or leveraging this relationship, we also, you know, we always received very quick response and guidance on how to do that. And also, it's great to be able to say about and tell about this relationship, because it gives credibility both for the startup and also for the enterprises, because they're engaging with new technologies, new startups, so they can offer, you know, new solutions to their clients. So I think that's appreciated both, you know, by the clients, both about the enterprise and the startup.
Definitely. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you for all the speakers and their great presentations. I'm sure it was, as promised, practical, insightful, and very useful for the future of the startups that we are having today and listening in. So right now, I will invite you all to join the panel discussion hosted by my partner at Katalista Ventures, Alex Gibb. And yeah, welcome, and please share your insights further. Thank you. Alex, you are muted, so please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Great. Can you hear me now? Yes, you can hear me now. Okay. So apologies for that. As Greta said, I'm Alex. I'm a partner at Katalista Ventures. So I'll host this part of the panel. I'm just been switching between devices. So a quick reminder of who we've got on the line. We've got Lars Vestergaard from Market Connect for Oracle for Startups. We've got Rick Deyn, who's the Senior Director of Financial Services at Oracle. And so he's your go-to man for the fintech questions. We also have Rivo, who's the co-founder and member of the board and Chief Business Officer at Modularbank. And as well, you've just heard from Jonas Simanavicius, who's the co-founder and CTO of the NOIA network. So we've got all four of you on the line, and we'd like to ask a couple of different questions. And I think one of the things that we've been doing with Katalista Ventures is really bringing together startups and corporates, and it's pretty unusual that you actually managed to do this. So Lars, tell us a little bit about your journey with working with startups. You've been very active in reaching out to startups and connecting them. So why did you decide to do it, and how was that journey?
Certainly, and you're absolutely right. It is a journey, and it starts sometimes random, sometimes it's super coincidental, sometimes it's a little bit planned like this. But I think the beauty of working with startups is that every day you experience something new, something excited. You have joint measures of laughter and tears, because it's about finding the right mojo together. It's about having the ability to hone in on one another. How should we work together? And it's individual each and every time. It's a different individual management team that you adjust to, and that you try to find out, how do I nurture them? So in addition to listening to words, I actually find myself sitting listening as well a lot to the culture. Who are the people behind this? I try to look for the personality in terms of how do we take them out? And I'm sure you can appreciate today with Rivo and Jonas, we have some very strong founders that with confidence I can take to customers, because that's also part of it. I don't want to have my head chopped off if I introduce a startup that completely fails in whatever environment, situation, discussion I take them into. So I really think the culture is so important here. It cannot be underemphasized. And that's where I always start. And then we escalate from there, bringing in colleagues, bringing in partners, taking it to the next level.
Super. And we, I mean, it definitely resonates with me what you're saying about that excitement and the flow immediately as you get into that. We also heard from Jonas about the speed and responsiveness, and that was something that really stood out for him. Maybe Rivo, we can just ask you the same question, just to talk us through a little bit. What happened when you had those sort of either first calls or first introductions with Oracle? How did that go with you?
I mean, it has been like overall like a very seamless process. So that actually also and let's say as we started like a bit more than a year ago, so we were lucky enough to meet face to face like at Oracle's London City office. So that we were basically like able to start the collaboration like with a kind of physical presence. So that meeting face to face like Lars and the team, and Lars and Rick and so forth. And it has been like very, very easygoing and smooth, so that the whole team has been like very responsive. And also like the moment, like you as a, let's say, fintech or a, let's say, part of their like fintech scale-up ecosystem collaboration partner, once you like, they pick up the interest in you, then you start like getting the requests and calls also from the US counterparts and so forth. So that it has been like a seamless global experience for us.
Super to hear, and that makes it even more reassuring, given the challenges that we're having from working from home and pandemic times, to know that even across the pond that it's been really good connection and communication. And Rick, your focus is fintech. I guess there are a couple of fintechs listening into the session today. Is there an ideal fintech, and what does that fintech look like, or what would be the characteristics that you'd like of the kind of fintech that you'd like to hear from?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that the profile for a fintech is really what we each time over and over again we discover with each potential fintech. So the type of fintechs that we are looking for is the fintech who has an idea, who has a development, who maybe has had a first experience with selling their software, but which are now ready to go big and to go into enterprise customers. That is kind of like the fintech that we, or at least the fintech stage that we are looking at. The type of fintech is really the type of fintech where, as Lars was saying, where we believe that we can start to do business with, right? Where we shine when we go and talk about the fintech to HSBC, to Citigroup, to Credit Suisse, to all of those big banks, and that's really the process that we go to in a very open and honest way, and that is something that I believe very, very strong in. There are brilliant fintechs out there that just do not have a fit, that do not have a business case where together we say, hey, 1 + 1 = 3. We can be much stronger as Oracle in collaborating with those fintechs and vice versa. But those fintechs that we do find that we can create traction with our sales teams, that we can create traction with our architects, that we can create traction with our customers, ultimately they go big very, very quickly, as you have heard from NOIA and Modularbank.
Super. And Rick, I think it would be interesting for us to understand a little bit more actually about when you say enterprise level, what sort of size or definition are we talking about there? You know, a lot of the fintechs that we have in the Baltic region are perhaps not quite at that level yet, or heading towards that level, but maybe you could just sort of outline, you know, how what exactly that means.
Yeah, when I talk about enterprise level, I was really talking about the joint customers that we want to go after. So when a startup does not have to be enterprise at all, but they have to be ready to go and tackle those enterprise customers. But I've been working with fintechs with a couple of headcounts and a great idea and a great implementation. I mean, one of the fintechs that I have been working with have about 10 employees, but they have a great implementation on Oracle Cloud, and they get great traction with some of the banks that I have been talking to. So on the startup, there's not really a minimum size. It's really about, you know, are you mature to know what you want to go and mean for banking customers, for enterprise banking customers.
Super. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's really valuable input for people on the call as well to hear how to approach this. And Jonas, you said that you were really surprised and positively surprised about the speed of cooperation. Can you talk us through a little bit more? You know, if you'd known that at the time, how would you have prepared in any way differently? Would you have done anything differently at the start? What are your sort of reflections on the beginning of the process?
I would say we wouldn't do anything differently, because our approach is always just to be as transparent as possible and as honest as possible. And this introduction to Oracle came to us also very accidentally. It wasn't a planned exercise to go after and engage with, you know, those programs. And it's because it just happened. And you know, it's always best things happen unexpectedly. So it just happened, and then we embraced it because we saw the response, we saw the potential opportunity, the size of the opportunity, and because every startup is busy doing their own ways, doing 20 things at one time. And when this happened, we just understood that that's too big of an opportunity not to engage it fully. And then, of course, we switched our priorities and engaged it, invested a lot of our effort and time with Oracle as well, because that's just the best thing to do. And it really happened very naturally. So I wouldn't say we would change anything. We are as ready as we are, and we're always doing progress every day and every week. And we just continue to update on our progress and having the next steps every time on every interaction. And as Lars said, it's a journey. It will be, it's always a journey, but it leads to somewhere special.
Super. That's I think very, very nicely put. And as you also touched on.
And Alex, actually, just to add to that, I think the first time we talk to a startup, you get a sense of power. You get a sense of maturity as well. So one thing I talked about, the culture of the people, but also what kind of nurture do they need? For example, when it was a matter of NOIA, when we started to hear about, oh, they have an office already over in Palo Alto, and when you start to think of the world presence and the sheer number of activities they do, then you get a picture of, so what do you do with that particular startup? So that is then immediate confidence to very senior product management people from headquarters within Oracle. There are others. So for example, Rick and I work with an amazing fintech. Rivo knows them as well because they came to Open World with us. They're called Supermoney. That's a small startup of only 2 people. And I remember meeting them, and they had 7 use cases for 7 different verticals. So although they are fintech, they are, how do we put a wallet into for example, a truck that with blockchain can transact on its own. But when we started to talk to them, you knew that there was an amazing amount of intellectual property, but it's still just 2 people. Then there are differences in terms of how much can I throw at them, the pace of which this can happen, and maybe more applying structure and becoming a guide to how do you maneuver around. Now you have 7 use cases and 7 verticals. Maybe you are more an advisor than an immediate facilitator. So it varies.
This is really interesting to hear, and you've obviously gone through this many times with lots of different startups, and I think that's fascinating to hear everything from structure to IP to teams to readiness, and just sort of how to really support those startups, the support that you can offer as Oracle to help them on their journey. And just going back to something that we've touched a few times here is this sense of journey, and also Jonas, you just said about sort of the chance and serendipity, and that's obviously one of the things that we lose essentially by being online, rather than having those little moments, going for a coffee or rubbing shoulders with someone in a lift and just having a chat. But just a reminder that we do have the Q&A function here on the session, so please do ask questions. Even if your question is answered, you might find somebody else on the session today who would like to connect with you and pick up. So don't be shy and feel free to ask questions as well. And Lars, let me go back to you to understand a little bit more about how the cloud business in general is evolving, and then Rivo, I'd like to come back to you to understand a little bit more about sort of modular banking and what will be the future of modular banking, especially given the developments in the cloud. But just in terms, Lars, of the opportunities that will be for startups, we see the amount of cloud space that's being enabled is increasing. Can you just talk us through a little bit more about the future of the cloud and where is this all going?
So first of all, if you as a fintech are in discussion with a bank and they say we don't work in the cloud, you're talking to the wrong people. We see that ever so often. We are sometimes guilty as charged ourselves, and I'll work with some of those very large account of ours. We call them key accounts, and a key account director very famously came back to me 3 years ago and said, Lars, why do you keep talking to me about startups and cloud? My key account customer, it's a big Scandinavian bank, they don't do cloud. And lo and behold, he just wasn't talking to the right people. And he found out just a month later, there was a huge audit around what to do in the cloud. So I guess persistence and probably also the whole teamwork with someone like us or other partners in terms of finding those people is super essential. But of course, there's a lot of caution. We've seen PSD2, we've seen anything relating to how you now need to be careful with records of customers, the security and all of that. So I think going back to my first initial slide about who you are as a startup, what's your architecture? That has to be brought so much out front straight away. What are you relying on? Whether that is to highlight security implications or just what components of cloud are you working in, and what are you, for the sake of your bank and for the sake of their customers, what part of the cloud are you working in? It's super important to have that razor sharp straight away to make sure that you get maneuvered into the right part of the organization. For us, as an old on-prem, I guess, entity, cloud is beyond a shadow of a doubt the most important thing in the company right now. Everything is cloud, cloud, cloud whenever we have internal discussions and with our customers. And we believe we are a strong contender in helping to evolve even our customers. We might have been a bit late in the cloud journey, but now we are helping to evolve the cloud journey for our customers. It's not known to you here on the call, but Oracle actually has products where we bring the cloud in a private way behind the firewall. So we have even instances, and big banks love that, where we put a big box behind the firewall that then executes cloud, but behind their firewall. So these hybrid possibilities, whether you call them on-prem or cloud, appealing to that is always going to be important. We, I can say, label ourselves with a Gen 2 cloud now. We were bullish enough to take a big residency out in Seattle, and we went to our biggest competitors and we headhunted like crazy. And we said to them, the cloud that you had and built as legacy, if you were to rebuild that, how would you go about doing that? Would you like to come over and build from scratch the most intelligent software-defined whatever cloud infrastructure and come and help build that for us? That's how it all began, and that's actually not that many years ago.
Brilliant, brilliant. More stories on the exciting journey. So thanks for sharing that. And I think the other takeaway for me there is really, as you said, defining yourselves and your architecture very early on and being razor sharp with that. I think that's also a great message for the startups that are on the session today as well. And then Rivo, going back over to you, in terms of the future of modular banking, I think that's one thing. Thinking about how the cloud is evolving from the startup perspective. That would be interesting to hear. And also, perhaps are there other partnerships that you're looking to build? Are there other fintechs out there that you'd like to hear from? Perhaps you could just talk us through that, please.
Okay, multifaceted question. Okay, that's fine. So the kind of, let's say, how we see the future of financial services banking is that as the, let's say, traditional industries are, let's say, the lines between the traditional industries is blurring, which means that also the financial services will be embedded among the other industries and other sectors and verticals, which means that basically every larger institution out there, let it be like retailer, construction company, telemedicine or healthcare platform or so forth, will have, let's say, financial services as part of their like offering. Payment by the installment plans, credit facilities, payment capabilities, and so on. So that leaves, let's say, us and also like with the others with the challenge. How do you maintain yourself? How do you maintain your position, and how do you maintain like your relevance on the market? And that is only possible if you like publish your capabilities and yourself to the other ecosystems, other ecosystem players via the APIs. And I mean, the cloud has a huge play over there. How do you enable the scale and so forth? So I definitely, let's say, see that the cloud infrastructure and the future of financial services are very strongly tied together, and that is all about being relevant. And now when you ask about, let's say, that with whom we play and so forth, so that we do the stuff that where we are extremely strong. We are extremely strong in terms of the transactional core banking, in different contract servicing capabilities and so forth. But if you look the overall space in, let's say, in the universal or large commercial bank, you have like, oh my God, like a large area of opportunities. You look, let's say, areas like AML capabilities, verification services, and so forth. These are all the areas where we could like partner up with partners very easily, because each of those, let's say, there is a whole world behind each of these keywords. But we don't foresee that we will build up the capabilities like in those areas on our own. So that we concentrate on delivering the stuff where we are really good at, and in all the other areas we are more than happy to partner and find ways how we can also help the other fintechs and banking tech companies.
Super, super nice, nice insights there, and also good sort of call to action for people who are on the line and considering partnering up. So there's an opportunity to reach out, as Rivo has explained the areas that they're interesting to him. And then Rick, maybe we can go back over to you and touch some of the sort of the exciting developments or trends that you see in the fintech area. Could you share some of your views on what the future brings, please?
Yeah, sure. So we talked about cloud. I think that specifically in financial services, it's clear that the market, that our customers are ready for a second wave of clouds, where until now they have been looking at cloud as a way to do cost reduction, to innovate. On the edge, to put less critical processes on the cloud. But that second wave is really about putting more critical, more enterprise workloads on cloud. Also putting their core banking systems on the cloud. Also putting their payment systems on the cloud. Also putting their risk systems on the cloud. And that I believe is a great opportunity for fintechs going forward.
Super. And if we're talking now about the great sort of migration to the cloud, will we still be talking about this in 5 to 10 years? Will this already be sort of a given? What will be the next phase?
Well, for the next 10 years, there will still be mainframes around, of course. But yes, between now and 5 years, the platform of choice for financial institutions will be cloud in all its hybrid forms. Coming back to some of the things that Lars was talking about, the possibility for banks to do processing in the cloud, but still keep their data in-house, and set up those multi-clouds and hybrid clouds will definitely be very much part of it. But between now and 5 years, yes, absolutely, everything will be cloud.
Super. Thanks for that. That's really good to hear about that shift and that change. And then Jonas, if we go back over to you, you touched on the Oracle marketplace. And I think it would be really interesting again for startups to hear, what does it actually mean to be on the Oracle marketplace? Is it enough just to be there and to be physically present, or is that sort of again part of the cooperation with Oracle to push it out to the clients? If you could just sort of talk us through a little bit of the mechanics, I think that would be really good for us to get a clear grasp on how that
works. Yeah, I was on mute. So yeah, we're still in the process of getting on the marketplace, but it's really essential to technologies like ours to be accessible as easy as possible. And especially for new startups trying different solutions or trying Oracle for the first time or migrating to Oracle, if they need other services like, I don't know, for example, logging services, services like NOIA, other applications for their startup and infrastructures, accessibility is key. And being on this marketplace, if you can say, if you use Oracle Cloud, it's just 2 clicks away and you get this amazing opportunity to secure all of your connections. That brings adoption both to Oracle Cloud and both to our product. So it's really a question of accessibility and ease of use. and the mechanics of it is quite simple. So once you go through, once you go through applications technologically, it's just adapting your solution to Oracle Cloud, so that it gives, that one click gives as much benefit and as easy integration as possible. And it's up to the startup to basically design and do that. But Oracle Marketplace, is hosting a lot of applications, and being one of them is a great go-to-market opportunity for us, both from a tech perspective and from a business perspective, because then you can go and reach those clients who already use Oracle Cloud, to give them a trial, or just let them try to use your solution, so they like it. And you can also reach to your existing clients and say, hey, have you tried using Oracle Cloud as well? We're there too. So I think that can bring numerous benefits.
Super, great insights there. And then I would love to hear sort of, I know that you're early on in the process, so maybe Lars, you could say a little bit more about, what have you learned from cooperation with Fintechs and the marketplace? How has that developed, and what's, that would be interesting to hear.
I think if there should be final words, there shouldn't be final words of warning, but we are seeing an awful lot of MVPs being built. And unfortunately for a lot of startups, 1%, 2%, 3% of a large finance institution's MVPs get to be implemented. So the big challenge is actually also, how do you get it from where it might have been ending in the ditch to where it goes mainstream? I have a beautiful case. So just like Rivo was talking about, financial detail is in many different entities. A huge post service is very keen on blockchain and is very keen on financial activities. And one of our fintechs has worked into them. And when we looked into it, my colleagues, and I think that is the key advice, my colleagues went in and said to that fintech, do you know that you could never succeed with having your MVP already in place to go mainstream unless you work with partner A? This particular postal service will never mainstream implement a solution unless that partner is running that solution and driving that. So everything is again a matter of how do we get to the right way of finding out how can it work well. And here, if the key is working with a partner to get it to work, then that's also where we take it. I don't know if that really answers your question, but it's an important message to bring out. When you have an MVP is not the same as you get chosen. That's only when the fun begins. And I think part of the collaboration and part of the whole working together and sparring and idealizing with each other, how do we then get it from an MVP to mass implementation? That's really when the fun begins. And that's when my promise of making startups rich kicks in.
Super. And so you've actually, summed up and wrapped up very nicely. I think that's a really great message to end with from the panel. So, for all of the fintechs out there and startups, you're thinking about going from your MVP to mass market. We've heard throughout this whole session this morning that the journey, the fun, the excitement, the collaboration, it's all there. So big thanks to you four panelists. And this is something that lies ahead of many people around us. So as a final note, then I would like to just to remind everyone that for those of you online who have registered for the one-to-one sessions with an Oracle representative, we'll be scheduling those meetings very, very shortly. And you can still register if you haven't done already. So just drop an email to arvidas@catalistaventures.com, and we'll set you up from there. Once again, I think it's been really inspiring to hear both from a startup perspective and the Oracle perspective. I think one of the other key takeaways for me has been, hearing about the speed and the responsiveness of working with a big organization like Oracle, and actually having that's often a fear for fintechs and startups who don't want to work or are afraid of working with big corporates. So this has been a really good takeaway as well. Once again, thank you. Thanks for joining us today. We come to the end of the session. We're bang on time. Wishing you a great day. All the best. Bye-bye.